Good morning, good evening, and good night. Of course, it depends on where in the world you are. I'm Diego Gomez, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about something very important that is happening right now around the world, and I am talking specifically about the American continent. Today, we're going to talk about how many countries in the American country, for example, the United States, are going back into normality after the pandemic of COVID-19, and how another countries like in Latin America are going back into normality, but at his own speed, because some countries are not vaccinated to everyone in the country. And if we compare this to the United States, we can see a very important difference, and that is what we are going to talk about today: how America is going to return to the normality. Because, for example, if we talk about the United States, we can see different things. For example, many states are going back into the normality. If we want to talk about many different states going back into normality, first we need to talk about New York, guys, because New York, yesterday, this most populous city in the United States, has returned to the normality and already has 70% of the adult population vaccinated against COVID-19 with at least one dose. This was announced yesterday by the governor of New York, Mr. Andrew Cuomo, who announced the suspension of the last restrictions in force against COVID-19. Here for you, I have also the press conference that Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, gave yesterday, and announced that these restrictions are now lifted and everyone is free to use masks, and also to go into gyms, into malls, and to also live the normality in this state. So I have for you the press conference of Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York.
Congratulations to New Yorkers, because they are the ones who did it. We're no longer just surviving. We're not in our homes afraid to go out. We're not in our homes disinfecting everything that we can see. Life is not about survival. Life is about thriving. Life is about seeing people. Life is about loving. Life is about celebrating. Life is about enjoying. Life is about interacting. And now we get back to living in life. The state mandates that have proven right and correct and brought us through this pandemic are relaxed as of today, effective immediately. So
this was the press conference that was held yesterday in the New York State, and as you can see, they are lifting the restrictions. Also, this was after registering more than 33,000 deaths during the COVID-19 pandemic. Also, one of the most famous cities in the United States and also in the world was again without mask, and short distance between people is already enjoyed. If we remember correctly, New York was one of the epicenter states of the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. Also, if we want to talk about another state that is opening right now, is California. California, guys, during this week announced that is the first one of the first states in the United States that is now reopened again. If we remember correctly, California was the first U.S. state to establish a coronavirus lockdown, and now they has just turned the page on the pandemic. This one of the most nation's populous state lifted most of its restrictions on last Tuesday, meaning that there will be no more status rules on social distancing or capacity limits in restaurants, in supermarkets, and also in stadiums. This was announced during this week by the governor of California, Mr. Gavin Newsom, who also celebrated the milestone by organizing a lottery-style selection of almost 10 winners who are going to receive around $1.5 million each simply by being vaccinated. It was the end of the largest vaccine incentive in the country, also almost $116 million in COVID-19 lottery prizes and cash card giveaways. So this is the panorama right now, this reality in the United States if we're going to talk about COVID-19 restrictions. But if we look closely, we need to talk also about some other rich nations, like, for example, Israel or the United Kingdom, who already have half of their population with at least one doses of COVID-19 vaccine, which also has caused that the cases of this virus fall drastically. But we need to look at the other side of the world, for example, in Latin America, where some poorer nations are struggling to get vaccines and are wrestling with exhausted healthcare systems, also declining economies, and one of the most important problems in this region, the corruption. These are very important because they are experiencing also their worst outbreaks since the start of the pandemic. This is happening right now in Latin America because, according to data from the Johns Hopkins University, Latin America has the highest rate of new infections in the world right now. Also, Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia, and Paraguay have been among the 10 countries with the most cases per 100,000 inhabitants in the world. Also, if we want to look in and take a look in another country in Latin America, we can talk about Mexico because Mexico has tried to return to face-to-face classes, to presential classes, but they have to be suspended multiple times because some multiple infections have been registered in different educational centers in the whole Mexico City. Also, another very important country right now in Latin America that is going through one of the worst scenarios in the pandemic since the start in 2020 is Argentina. Guys, Argentina also is trying to go back to class to the classrooms, but in the province of Buenos Aires, the capital of this country, and also is the most populous district in this country. They also have suspended the classes, the going to the classrooms again because they are going to have more and more cases of COVID-19, and also the authorities are struggling right now trying to contain the cases. This situation is also happening, according to many experts in this COVID-19 pandemic. This is happening because some countries don't have the economic power to buy as many vaccines as most rich nations are going to buy. For example, the United States or the United Kingdom. Also, if we want to talk about the vaccines and how many countries don't have their own vaccines, we can, for example, talk about Guatemala. Guatemala is just living right now for donations of many countries, for example, Israel or India. These countries are donating vaccines to Guatemala, but Guatemala don't have their own vaccines for the population. So this is very important because if they don't vaccinate it, of course, they can't go back to normality. So guys, this is also because of the corruption in different governments in Central America and also across Latin America. So this is the panorama right now that is going Latin America through. As always, I invite you to follow me in my social media that is down here below: Facebook Diego Gomez TV, Twitter and Instagram at Diego Reportero, and also subscribe here in my YouTube channel Diego Gomez TV. And also, I invite you to chat right here below in the comment section and tell me what do you think about these different contrasts between rich nations and nations that are going into a very important crisis, economic and healthcare crisis through this COVID-19 pandemic. So this was all for the streaming, and as always, I invite you to subscribe, like this video, share in all your social media, and I see you in my next streaming. Goodbye.